Hey everybody, it's Sam Kwok here, one of the Kwok brothers, and with many European countries entering a lockdown, the idea of a nationwide lockdown is also being considered here in the United States. Well, so say the rumors, right? Well, many of the states have already adopted a new lockdown mandate, like my home state of Illinois. But what would a nationwide lockdown look like? I mean, how would it impact stimulus packages? How would it impact businesses, real estate, housing market? How would it all impact? So in this video, we're gonna break it all down. What would a nationwide lockdown look like? So the new president-elect Joe Biden has already assembled a 12-member COVID task force. Now, just last Wednesday, one of the task force members, Dr. Michael Osterholm, said a nationwide lockdown of 4 to 6 weeks would help bring the virus under control.
It's going to be economically much cheaper for us to really deal with this and lock down than it is to continue to watch these cases increase for the next 6 to 12 months.
Also saying that the country is going into quote-unquote COVID hell. Now, of course, these 4 to 6 weeks lockdown would be also accompanied by an implied stimulus package to replace the 4 to 6 weeks of wages being lost. Now, I'm not saying that a nationwide lockdown is definitely coming, but if the cases continue to rise, it's definitely in the realm of possibility. Not saying it's impossible, not also saying it's definitely gonna happen. So what can we expect from an idea of a nationwide lockdown? Well, we can only model from what other countries are actually doing as part of their nationwide lockdown. So here's what we could potentially see from a nationwide lockdown if it goes into effect. Number one, there will be an immediate closure of all public schools, house of worship, indoor restaurants, and prohibiting any social gatherings of 10 people or more. Companies will most likely be encouraged to have their employees work at home, and we may even see curfews at night to curb any unnecessary travel. Now, this is very similar to what we've seen back in March through April, and I would even argue that it wasn't that bad back in March and April when we first had a shutdown. Now, some of you are already feeling the chills down the spine when I said all that, and I hope that none of these happens and no one wants a lockdown. I mean, let's be real, right? Now, without any real financial support to already hurting businesses, this is going to be devastating and it'd be a massive blow to many businesses, restaurants, salons, and gyms that were already struggling to keep up with. I mean, in places like Manhattan, New York, as much as 1/3 of all businesses have shut down and probably won't be coming back, according to New York Times. That's nearly 240,000 businesses that probably won't be coming back. Now, think about this for a sec, guys. For every businesses that shut down forever, that could mean 2 to 3 employees at least without a job. And this, of course, means a surge of unemployment, which trickles down into foreclosures, bankruptcies, and overall default rates in consumer debt, meaning more people won't be able to pay for their debt, like credit cards, mortgages, and so on. Now, already we've seen an increase in default rates in mortgages alone. And if we're digging even further, this types of joblessness would likely increase the number of renters who won't also be able to pay their rent, which of course, causes even more friction to an already torn public relations between landlords and tenants, which both landlords and tenants are in a desperate situation right now. Number two, while this might be a stretch for the US, the country may enforce a mandatory 14-day quarantine for all travelers. Now, this has been in effect in countries like South Korea, which actually is where I was born. So in South Korea, all inbound travelers are required to quarantine for 14 days at a designated quarantine site. Now, let's say you and I are traveling to South Korea by air. The moment we land, we would be escorted to a mobile testing site at the airport. Sounds like a movie, right? Now, after testing, we will be placed on a bus that is only used to transport travelers to a local and government quarantine lodging. Of course, the lodging location will provide 3 square meals and ensure that you do not leave the quarantine area until 14 days later, unless you test positive for COVID-19, which in that case, you'll probably escorted to a hospital for treatment. Already sounds like a pretty scary movie. Now, this level of strictness has been and still is being implemented in South Korea, where many health experts have praised their measures of curbing COVID-19 cases. Now, I really don't see the US going far as mandating a super strict quarantine rules. It may not be a far-fetched idea if things get dramatically worse and worse and more people are dying and there's cases rising up every moment. Now, this will certainly discourage travelers into the US and also those that are leaving the country as well. I mean, heck, I would hate to be locked up for 14 days with nothing but food, bed, and an internet. Wait, that that actually doesn't sound too bad. But in all seriousness, guys, if the US does try this, this will slow down businesses that often rely on travel, and many areas that rely on tourism will definitely feel the pain as well. So if you guys were forced to quarantine for 14 days, how do you guys feel about it? Leave your thoughts below. I mean, I don't think it's all that bad, but I would not like the fact that I'm trapped in a government facility. That would just make me feel a little eerie. Third, this idea comes from the United Kingdom and what they're doing as part of a nationwide lockdown. In the UK, you can actually be fined up to £10,000, which is equivalent to about $13,000 for organizing large events during the lockdown. I mean, this is very harsh measure, and it would add insult to injury for businesses, house of worship, and professional events that are probably hurting right now as they are. Now, I can already imagine protests and strong resistance if this were to be tried here in the United States. I just don't think it's gonna work, but it could definitely be an idea that could be tried if things get worse and worse and worse. So overall, a nationwide lockdown will cause the economy to come to a major grounding halt, slowing down spending, killing jobs, and spinning us into a further and potential deeper recession without some kind of a stimulus to businesses and working Americans. And we already know that, trying to negotiate for stimulus is very, very slow. So if the country does announce a nationwide lockdown, say tomorrow, I really can't imagine the government putting together a stimulus package that will quickly be implemented to help the business owners and the employees. So on one side, you have COVID-19 cases hitting record high, and on the other hand, you have this idea of nationwide lockdown with the potential of killing the economy. It's a really tough decision for anybody to really make without negative consequences. Very, very, very hard. And of course, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on the possibility of nationwide lockdown scenario. So go ahead, leave your thoughts down below. Now, as I close out this video, I sincerely pray that we'll find a cure for COVID-19. No one wants a lockdown. I don't want a lockdown. I'm sure you guys don't want a lockdown. I'm even sure that the government officials don't want a lockdown. But I sincerely pray and hope that we'll find a cure, and this cure will spare not only the vulnerable lives, but also to restore our economy, our businesses, and of course you, my friends that are watching, that are out there working really, really hard to earn a living for you and your family. So don't forget to subscribe, guys, and thank you so much for watching. Leave your thoughts down below. What would happen? Is the rumor true? Do you think it's gonna happen? Go and leave your thoughts below. And of course, as always, go and check out some of these other videos that you might be interested in. Thanks for watching.